Well. Tuesday, the day before New Year's Eve. And so what's going on? Why in the heck am I doing a live stream on a Tuesday at 1 o'clock? Well, that's because we got a little bit of an update for kind of an update. It's not really any information for the Creative Summit for it's supposed to be in the spring. We were supposed to get the new timeline in December. Well, we didn't get the new timeline in December. As we were told 120 days ago, we didn't get a new timeline. We got some other information, and it's a little on the confusing side because I don't know what's going on. So let's look at the message that they posted this morning. The message is, let me see where is that message? It's right here. Oh, that's not it. Where in the heck did it go? Hold on one second. Nope. Where in the world? Nope. Where in the world? Well, I'll just do this. That's okay. I'll do this. In the world. Now, why did that come on? That's okay. I'll do this. In the world. Now, why did that come on? Hold on one second. I had to turn off the... Oh, that's weird. Hold on. We're getting there. Here, let's do this. This is the message that came up on their website today. Now, let's go over what the heck's going on here. This is the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit official website. And we were supposed to get more information about the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit in December. Well, now it says, while we're finalizing our plans for 2026. Okay, but that's not letting us know what's going on with the Creative Summit. Not yet. We've got something new we're excited to share now. So it sounds like two separate things. Finalizing plans for 2026, which is the Creative Summit, which they were supposed to tell us about in December. That didn't happen. Okay, we waited over 120 days, and we didn't get any information about the Creative Summit like we were supposed to. Okay, that's the first thing. But they got something new to share they're excited about. Apple is partnering with FMC on exclusive Final Cut Pro track at Post-Production World during NAB. So that okay, well, Final Cut Pro has not been at NAB for years. 2019 was the last time that anything about Final Cut Pro was at NAB officially with Apple. 2019, that was 6 years ago, pre-COVID. There's been nothing going on with Final Cut Pro at NAB since 2019. So why are they doing it in 2026? It says Apple is partnering with FMC on exclusive Final Cut Pro track at Post-Production World during NAB. Okay. We've got something new we're excited to share now. Okay. Something new they're excited to share now. We've got our comments here, of course. Hello from Jamaica. So I guess no Creative Summit until November 2025. You mean 2026, November 2026. I don't know. It's very confusing. They're not doing a good job clarifying what's going on. They're just, it's not. They were supposed to do it in December. It didn't happen. They should tell us why it didn't happen in December. They did not tell us anything. They just threw out this new thing about NAB. Well, the Creative Summit is in Cupertino. NAB is in Las Vegas. So it's very confusing exactly what they're trying to say. It's not clear at all. It's not the least bit clear. Top experts in the industry will be leading sessions packed with advanced techniques, workflow breakthroughs, and insider knowledge that'll change how you work with the pro apps. See you in April. Okay. That's the same kind of things that happen at the Creative Summit. You do sessions with top experts, leading packed sessions with advanced techniques. So what does this mean as far as the summit goes? That's what we want to talk about. NAB, I'm curious about that, but the same people that would be at NAB would be teaching at the Creative Summit, typically. A lot of the same people. This is very confusing. We got no clarity. We waited 120 days and got zero clarity about what the heck's going on. Well, I don't know why they can't be more forthcoming on, hey, we meant to be in December. We're still working things out. Give us another month. I doubt they would have the Creative Summit in spring so close to NAB. Well, they said the spring for the Creative Summit, and they have not changed that. So far, it's still the spring. That goes March into June. So March into June. It's very confusing. They did not clarify anything. Nobody's clarifying anything. Let me just see. There we go. That's fine. So, well, here's a couple of things here. There's a couple of things that's going on. The Creative Summit is completely different than a Final Cut Pro track at NAB. Okay? Number one is you're not going to the Spaceship campus at NAB. Number two, you're not going to have a Q&A necessarily with the Final Cut Pro team, those are big ticket items for the Creative Summit. Going to the Spaceship campus, getting a personal presentation from the Final Cut Pro team, and having a Q&A with the Final Cut Pro team, going to the Apple store to buy merchandise and stuff. Those all happen specifically at Cupertino and at Creative Summit and Apple Park. So typically, when they announce a big update to Final Cut Pro, it's usually at the Creative Summit. They're not going to have, what does it say? Let's go back and look at this again. Something new we're excited to share now. Apple is partnering with FMC on exclusive Final Cut Pro track at Post-Production World during NAB. Okay. They're not going to have Apple partnering on an exclusive Final Cut Pro track at NAB without a big update. They're not going to do, that doesn't make any sense. Would you be excited if Apple was doing a track at NAB and they talked about 11.2 back in September? I don't think you would be. I don't think anybody would be. Nobody would be really interested in a 6-month-old update. We've already been through tutorials. We've already had YouTube stuff. So there's got to be an update, a big update in there somewhere. March will be 1 year from 11.1. So my bet is we're going to get an update to Final Cut Pro in March. Now, it would make sense to me to have the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit in March with the update. Another one of the things that the update that the Creative Summit always had was we got the worldwide debut of a Final Cut Pro update. We got it multiple times. We always got it at the Creative Summit. So I don't see how they can do tracks at NAB if they don't have the update for Final Cut Pro, the big one. Whether it's 11.3, whether it's Final Cut Pro 12, whatever it is, it's got to come out before NAB. It would be backwards to me if they released a Final Cut Pro update at NAB and then did the Creative Summit after NAB. That's backwards. We get an exclusive first look at Final Cut Pro updates when we get a presentation from the Final Cut Pro team at the Creative Summit. So if they're going to talk about a new update at NAB, which to me they would have to, they have to have a new update, or what are you teaching? Something that's 6 months old or a year old, 11.1? We've already been through that for a year. 11.2 has ProRes RAW. That's not that something you teach at NAB necessarily. I mean, it's not that big a deal. There has to be a big update in this mix somewhere. It makes more sense if they have the Creative Summit before NAB. Just say 2 weeks to a month before, so at the end of March or the middle of March, Creative Summit in Cupertino with the major update, and then they'll teach us some stuff at the Creative Summit, and they'll say, stay tuned for NAB. We have a big track at NAB talking about this new update. I'm confused. I don't know exactly if there's anything specific. It's just, what are they doing? We don't know. Let me just answer this real quick. Let me just answer this quick. Hold on one second. Let me okay, this is all happening in real time, so I'm getting a little bit of information back and forth. Hi again from Connecticut, just tuned in. Seems like Apple is finally waking up after about 6 years of not been at NAB. Well, there's multiple reasons why they haven't been at NAB. Some I really can't get into, but I'm trying to find out what I can. Okay. Let's get back to the live stream. I'm trying to read it back. All right, let's get back to the live stream. I'm doing stuff live here about what we're talking about. Good evening from Richmond. Eric says, if Fanica post, my girlfriend and I have dumped her years ago. Lack of communication, no feelings of appreciation for me. Editors, sporadic shows of affection, updates, and never buys dinner. Let's do this. Let's do this. Hold on 1 second. Any update for 11.3 yet? Well, I don't think there's going to be an update to 11.3 until the spring. So this is very FMC, Apple, this is very confusing. This does not help us. We were promised an update about the Creative Summit 120 days ago in December, and we didn't get it. It's very confusing what's going on. So it's very confusing. I don't know. We'll have to see what information. I heard rumors, but maybe it's all hype. The Creative Summit, it doesn't make any sense. What rumors did you hear? I heard rumors, but maybe it's all hype. What rumors did you hear exactly? Oh, you heard 11.3 coming out soon. Well, we just got 11.2 in September. The idea of 11.3 coming out 3 months later, that doesn't seem likely. Bug fixes. It wouldn't be 11.3 if it was bug fixes. It'd be 11.2.1. Yeah, 11.2.1. Yeah, I think that's a possibility that we could see 11.2.1 with bug fixes, but yes, I hope FMC clarifies because it would need to know the dates. Exactly. I have things I'm doing in March and April, and I need to know dates in order to I need to know the dates in order to make arrangements, airfare and stuff. Looks to me like a summit within NAB, but then it is really a summit. It's not a summit. No, it's not a summit. Next year will be the year people decide to stay with Final Cut Pro or go to DaVinci Resolve. Let's go back to this. While these seem like two separate things, while we're finalizing our plans for 2026, that's one thing. Finalizing plans. We've got something new. Something new. The Final Cut Pro Creative Summit is not new. Okay? The Final Cut Pro Creative Summit is not new. So something new we're excited to share now. They couldn't share information about the Creative Summit, so they're sharing something new that they can share now. Apple is partnering with FMC on an exclusive Final Cut Pro track at Post-Production World during NAB. That is not a summit. That is not a Final Cut Pro Creator Summit. That's completely different. A Final Cut Pro track is not a Final Cut Pro Creator Summit. Two different things. The Final Cut Pro Creator Summit is still being listed as being in Cupertino. But I don't know. It's very confusing. This is all very confusing. Very confusing. Next year will be the year people decide to stay with Final Cut Pro or go to DaVinci Resolve. I think they've been doing that for a while. So that means they still need more time to finalize the summit. Then just say that. Just say that in clear terms. Hey, we need more time before we can tell you about the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. Don't do all this, we're going to do a track at NAB with Apple and whatever. That's clouding the horizon. There is one more day in December. Any bets? No, I think this is how somebody decided they're going to tell us about let's all hope we get the date tomorrow. I don't think we're going to. I think this is it. This is it. My enthusiasm for Final Cut Pro just went down. It just went down. Or what's the word that I use? Not enthusiasm, but This is all confusing. This doesn't clarify what we were told we were going to get 120 days ago. We've been waiting. This doesn't really make sense what they're doing. Let's go back here. Hold on a second. Let's go back here. Now let's do this. Let's look at what it says on the FMC website. Final Cut Pro Creative Summit, location Cupertino, USA. This is not being at the Apple headquarters in Cupertino is a big deal. Getting a presentation from the Final Cut Pro team at the Apple Spaceship campus is a big deal. Getting to talk to the Final Cut Pro team at a private Q&A is a big deal. None of that is stated is going to happen at NAB. Well, we're not going to go to the Spaceship campus, obviously. We're not going to the Spaceship campus. It's in a separate city. It mentions nothing about the Final Cut Pro team. It just says Apple's, what does it say? Let's put it back up there again because it is confusing. Apple is partnering with FMC on an exclusive Final Cut Pro track at Post-Production World during NAB. That's not the same as having a Q&A with the Final Cut Pro team. It's not the same as going to the Apple Spaceship campus and getting a presentation from the Final Cut Pro team. It's nothing in there is about any of those things. Yeah. So Eric says, especially after everyone said last year's summit was so good, weird. Well, this all started, okay, 2024, over a year ago November, was excellent. When they started not being clear in July and August last year, in 2025, I started getting, say, what's going on there? And I said, you canceling it for 2025? Well, they did cancel it. The Final Cut Pro Creative Summit was canceled for 2025. Now they said we're going to do it in the spring. Okay. The Final Cut Pro Creative Summit is a very specific event. We go to the Apple Spaceship campus. We get a private presentation from the Final Cut Pro team. They give us worldwide exclusivity to see the first world view of a new version of Final Cut Pro. We get sessions and we get a Q&A with the Final Cut Pro team, private Q&A. Those are the major parts of the Creative Summit. None of that's going to happen at NAB. I doubt it very much. We could, when they do sessions, they do Blackmagic sessions, DaVinci Resolve sessions. They do a lot of Premiere and Adobe sessions. That's probably their big moneymaker at NAB. If they do Final Cut Pro sessions, it's going to be some of the same people that do them at the Creative Summit. The Creative Summit and NAB are two completely separate events. Two completely separate events. I'm not overly excited about, well, let's just say this. I like the Creative Summit. I like that. That's my favorite. So let me just type this real quick. NAB seems more expensive than the Creative Summit. Well, you can get a free ticket to go to NAB. Oh, I'm sorry, but if you go to, no, I'm sorry. If you get, you're right. If you get the, if you take the Final Cut Pro tracks, that's different. That is different. So they're both expensive. Now, you know, I don't know. I'll have to think about it. I got a few feelers out to see if I can find out more, but I don't know. I just don't know. That it's very confusing what they put out. So unless there's some clarification, I mean, I'm sure as we get closer to NAB, as we get closer to the Creative Summit, I mean, they tried the Global Summit and that didn't work out. They didn't have many people show up. The NAB is much bigger than the Creative Summit. 50,000 people, 55,000 people. The Creative Summit has 150 to 200 people. So there's no, the Creative Summit would get lost if they inserted it into NAB. I don't see how that would work. I'm very, very confused. Their press release is very confusing. I guess we'll have to just wait until things are clarified. I've reached out to see if I can get a further clarification as exactly what they're saying, but I don't know I don't know what's going on. I'm not that interested in a Creative Summit in the summer, to be honest. I'm not really that interested in it. I liked it in the fall. I was willing to give it a chance in the spring. We'll have to wait. I mean, I just wanted to come on here and talk about this because they did say they would have dropped the new timeline. Is that what they said? Yes. In December. Well, they didn't do that. I mean, things can change. Just tell us that. Just don't do all this stuff. NAB, new track to NAB. Just say, hey, we need another month before we can tell you about what's going on with the Creative Summit. That's all. Taken at face value, there will be two events, a summit and an NAB thing. Very confusing. Well, NAB goes on regardless. Regardless. The summit was a special event for people, for Final Cut Pro people. Yeah, it seems like there's two events, and unless they're going to push the summit back to next fall again, which at this point I wouldn't trust that because they've already told us some things that haven't happened. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. They're all our friends, FMC and Apple and the Final Cut Pro team. But at this point, it's so confusing that it's disappointing that they can't be forthright with us and just tell us what's going on. Hey, we need another month. Sorry, we said December. It didn't work out, which I was wondering about since they didn't do it before the Christmas vacation. I was saying they're not going to make any decision over Christmas vacation. Everybody's out. Decision makers are out of the area. I mean, they're at home with their families and all. So I was very confused about that. But anyway, I just wanted to come on, and since they said they'd have it in December and they didn't have it in December, the new Final Cut Pro Summit timeline will be dropped in December. I completely understand that sometimes things don't happen on schedule, just tell us that. Just tell us that, hey, we need more time before we can tell you anything. Everybody's got to make arrangements. We got to make travel plans. We got to take off work if you're working. You got to make arrangements with your families. Not knowing anything is very difficult. Very difficult. A little bit frustrated, isn't it? I mean, it's just that we don't have the information we were told we were going to have. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Vegas is expensive. Vegas is very expensive. You know what? It's not even a press release. It's just on the FCP Creative Summit webpage. There's been no press release yet. So, what the heck? And the thing is this, the NAB and Creative Summit are a large part separate audiences. If I go to NAB, I'm as interested in talking with DaVinci Resolve and seeing DaVinci Resolve as I am Final Cut Pro, kinda. But 2019 was the last time that anybody from the Final Cut Pro team was in the official position of representing Apple at NAB. 2019, that was 6 years ago. There has been no sign of Final Cut Pro at all officially at NAB since then. So there's a 6-year gap. Now, the thing is, this is just tracks. They call it tracks. Let's go back and look at that darn thing one more time. While we're finalizing our plans for 2026, to me, that means the Creative Summit. While they're finalizing their plans for the they should have said, while we're finalizing our plans for the Creative Summit for spring 2026. Has that changed? Is it no longer in the spring? Tell us these things so we can make plans. Tell us when, what month. While we're finalizing our plans for 2026, we've got something new. Finalizing plans and something new we're excited to share now. Apple is partnering with FMC on an exclusive Final Cut Pro track at Post-Production World during NAB. Okay? To me, those are two separate things. But here's the thing. Top experts in the industry will be leading sessions packed with advanced techniques, workflow breakthroughs, and insider knowledge that'll change how you work with Apple Pro apps. Well, that's kind of some of the things that go on at the Creative Summit. And here's the point with our friend. See you in April. See who? Summit attendees, NAB attendees? The message couldn't be more vague. Right. See you in April. What about the Creative Summit? It's very confusing. It's not clear in the least bit. They really have to clarify what the heck's going on here. Why would you keep the Final Cut Pro community at large in this cloudy, murky situation where we don't know what's going on? We can't make plans. We can't get our airfare straightened out. We can't make arrangements to take off work. Why? Just come out and tell us what's going on. Just come out and tell us what's going on. See you in April. Well, that's April. We presume that means post-production world, but that's NAB. But I mean, I've been to both NAB and the Creative Summit both. I like them both. I didn't go to NAB last year because there wasn't anything that exciting for me to go, any reason to go. So I'm still interested in the Creative Summit. What's going on with the Creative Summit? I don't know about the rest of you. I mean, regardless, that's when there's going to be, they can't do tracks at NAB with Final Cut Pro 11.2. That's 6 months old at that point. That just that makes no sense. 0 sense. There has to be a big update to Final Cut Pro prior to NAB. If you do it at NAB, it gets lost with the hundreds of other press releases. It gets lost with the giant DaVinci Resolve update. It gets lost in all that stuff that's happening at NAB. NAB is not Final Cut Pro specific by any stretch of the imagination. Final Cut Pro hasn't been there for 6 years, so doing the tracks is fine. Tell us about it, the Creative Summit. What's going on with the Creative Summit? Because you're not clear. The date is already set for NAB, April 18th to the 22nd. So if the summit is at NAB, they could have already shared the dates. Yes, that's correct. I can't imagine the summit being at NAB. That's not very, I don't know how that would work. That doesn't make any sense. You'd be distracted. You'd be torn to go to different events. Do I want to go to the summit today, or do I want to go see Black Magic today? The NAB, a lot of the sessions, of course, Premiere's big at NAB. DaVinci Resolve is very big at NAB. So you have those sessions going on, but also you want to walk the floor. You want to walk the show floor. These are all pulling you away from any kind of summit activity. I can't see it. I can't see that. I don't care. The message is confusing, that's for sure, but I can't see the summit at NAB. That makes no sense. It still says the summit is in Cupertino. So that makes 0 sense to me. Final Cut Creative Summit, location Cupertino, USA. You're right. If it was at NAB, they could give you the dates instead of TBD. So anyway, I want to see what everybody else thinks. Our friend Gabe's been talking. He made some great points there. So let's go back. We're going to keep on going back and forth. Apple is partnering with FMC on exclusive Final Cut Pro track at Post-Production World. A Final Cut Pro track at Post-Production World is not a Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. I'm sorry. They are not the same. They are not the same. Okay? They're not the same thing. However, I expect a big update to Final Cut Pro prior to NAB. It makes no sense to do a Final Cut Pro track at NAB exclusive if you're talking about Final Cut Pro 11.2 for September or Final Cut Pro 11.1 from a year ago. That doesn't make any sense. So it has to be a new update to Final Cut Pro in the spring. If there's a new update to Final Cut Pro prior to NAB, it should be at the Creative Summit the way it's always been for years. They give us the big update at Final Cut Pro, at the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. So I could see this. I could see the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit in March. In Cupertino, we go to the Spaceship campus. We get the worldwide exclusive demonstration of the new version of Final Cut Pro from the Final Cut Pro team. We get to go to the Apple Spaceship campus. We get to go to the Apple Spaceship store where you can buy merchandise. We get an exclusive Q&A with the Final Cut Pro team, separate event from getting the presentation in Cupertino. The other thing at NAB, exclusive Final Cut Pro track. That's not the same as the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. It's not the same. I can't see in any. I cannot stretch any of my imagination big enough to see. It's got to be two separate events. It makes no sense. It makes no sense otherwise to me. My guess is the summit will be in April, either right before or during NAB, but still in Cupertino. And yes, it seems foolish to grab some NAB spotlight if the update isn't significant. Right. There's no reason people would. Why would you go to get a training on software that's at least 6 months old and everything's already been done, all the YouTube videos, tutorials and stuff have been out? It makes no sense. There has to be an update. But I agree with you, Gabe. I think that they will. The summit will be. I don't think it'll be in April. I think the summit will be in March. I think the update to Final Cut Pro, the big update, will be introduced at the summit the way it's always been, and then they will continue training at NAB. But it's going to be some of the same people, isn't it? The same trainers at the summit and the same trainers at NAB. I mean, that's what's typically is going to happen, what I would think. So there's got to be distance between those two because people can't necessarily take off for the Creative Summit and then 6 weeks later take off for NAB. Of the two of those, I would go to the summit. Hands down, I would go, if I had to choose, I would go to the summit. So it's not what I was hoping for. The news about the summit is not really, it's confusing. It's the confusion. It's not exciting. Now we got to wait. Wait for what? Another month? To make plans for the summit? Let me see if I have anything yet from anybody. No, nothing yet. Nope, nothing. Oh, boy. I knew something was going on when they didn't announce it before the Christmas vacation time, because it's like they're not going to make any decisions during Christmas vacation for anything because people are out of the office, decision makers are not available. But anyway, I just wanted to come on and talk about what's going on. We really don't know anything, FMC. You're not really telling us a thing other than there's going to be a Final Cut Pro track at NAB, which is, that in itself is fine. But there's no Final Cut Pro guru gathering. nothing extracurricular at this point, so we'll have to see. I mean, if they have a creative summit separate from NAB, of course, that's my guess. I'll be maybe, depending on the time frame, I might be interested in going back to NAB if there's going to be a Final Cut Pro track. I'm talking to people as I'm talking to you. About the Creative Summit in NAB and this announcement. We need clarification. Very confusing. Very confusing. The NAB news is reassuring for the platform, but tells us nothing about the summit, and I really hope workflow breakthroughs is meant literally rather than just marketing speak. Right. Workflow. That's an important part of the deal. But anyway, here's what I am sure of. We're going to have a Final Cut Pro update, feature update, probably in March or early April, before the NAB tracks, whatever they are. I mean, they have Resolve tracks, they have Premiere tracks, they have After Effects tracks. It seems like they're just going to add a specific Apple approved Final Cut Pro track along with Resolve, along with Premiere, along with After Effects. They're just going to add an additional track specifically for Final Cut Pro. Let's see what's going on out there in the cat world. Two cats. No, one, yes, two cats. Amanda Jones and Lucy. They're looking at their Christmas tree and looking out their front window. This is our two girls, our inside girls. They just like to sleep. That's their own futon. They got their own pillows. Sometimes they go into cat trees. Sometimes. But I wanted to come on here just to get everybody's opinion on what's going on. Would it be hard for Apple to create social media pages dedicated to the Pro applications, even to get some interns to manage those pages and give updates to the public? Well, I don't think they would do give that to the interns. What tracks? Sorry, I don't understand. Well, that's what it says. Apple is partnering with FMC on an exclusive Final Cut Pro track at Post-Production World during NAB. Exclusive Final Cut Pro track. Okay. Well, Resolve has tracks. Premiere has tracks at Post-Production World. After Effects has tracks. There's all kind of tracks during Post-Production World. So this is just another one. This is a Final Cut Pro specific track. This is not the Creative Summit. I can't see it. Social media pages would not be difficult, but that flies in the face of Apple's sort of mystery box approach to their products. Yes. Well, this is great. This is, you give me your ideas. I think there's two separate things. I don't think they're combining them into one. It doesn't make any sense. No, you can't do the Creative Summit at the NAB. That makes zero sense to me. Two separate things. NAB is much bigger than the Creative Summit. The Creative Summit is a small, couple hundred person exclusive event. Part of that exclusivity is visiting the Apple Spaceship campus and getting a private presentation at or near, last in 2024, it wasn't at the Spaceship campus. It was near the Spaceship campus. And then we go to the Spaceship campus and get to see the new software in action. We get to talk to members of the Final Cut Pro team who demonstrate things and are there to answer questions. Then we have sessions for 2 days. And then the last day, usually the last thing, we get a Q&A, private Q&A with the Final Cut Pro team. Those days are completely booked. They're completely full. There's no room for NAB nonsense mixed in the Creative Summit. There's no room for it. So, Sean O'Connor, good morning from New Zealand. Happy New Year's Eve here. Happy New Year's Eve to you. We got another day. New Year's Eve is tomorrow for us, of course. Sean, that's fantastic. I'm glad you tuned in. I always like people, they tell me where they're from. Any other ideas? What's going on? Does anybody have any inside information they can share? I tried Motion to create a custom lower third, and I must say it's very awesome. Would normally underestimate it, but it's very powerful. Yeah, Motion is. There's no ifs, ands, or no ifs, ands, or buts that Motion is specifically a very powerful creative tool, because it absolutely is. I don't have time to learn it other than a little bit. Motion, our friend Gabe says, Motion is perhaps the best value post-production app of all time. $49? Come on. $49. So people have different ideas what that post means. I think there's two separate. I don't think the Creative Summit is at NAB. That makes zero sense to me. A Final Cut Pro track is not a Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. It's not the same. Completely different things. So, this is the news we got for December. We'll have to wait and see what becomes of all this, but definitely FMC needs to clarify, because they're the only ones talking about it. There's no mention anywhere from Apple. I'll go over there and check, but I don't think so. Let me just go over there and check. Nope, nothing from Apple. Nothing from Apple. Let me just go check. I don't think there's going to be any more. So here's the only thing that I can say is, number one, I'm interested in the Final Cut Pro Creator Summit. Absolutely. If there were both events were happening in a short period of time, I would take the summit hands down. Cupertino, Final Cut Pro team, going to the Spaceship campus, hands down. That's the best. That's dedicated to Final Cut Pro. NAB is not dedicated to Final Cut Pro in any stretch of the imagination. There's dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of things going on at NAB. The show floors are just absolutely humongous. Now, they closed the South Hall this year. They have Central, North, and then that new hall that you got to go through the tunnel to get to because it's so far away. So it's about everything. Camera manufacturers, new microphones, of course there'll be a new version of DaVinci Resolve. They do it every year. Sometimes it's just beta, but it's always an exciting update to DaVinci Resolve. That's going to dominate NAB. Premiere, whatever the heck Premiere's doing. Avid is at NAB. Avid's at NAB, Premiere's at NAB, DaVinci Resolve. Blackmagic has the biggest booth at NAB. Now, if Apple was having a booth at NAB, that would be big news. That would be something completely unexpected. They're not. They're not. It's just that FMC says Apple is partnering with FMC on an exclusive Final Cut Pro track. A Final Cut Pro track does not equal the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. It's just not the same. So this is great. Everybody came on and gave their opinions about it. If I learn anything else that I can talk about, sometimes I learn things I can't talk about for a while. Sometimes I learn things I can't talk about for a while, which is fine. Let me see if I got any. Nope. Nothing there. Nothing there. Nothing. Nothing at whatsoever. Okay. Happy New Year to each and every one of you. The gentleman from New Zealand, Sean O'Connor, especially, you're already on New Year's Eve. You commented from Facebook. Now, you know what's weird? I didn't get my normal friend from the X platform this time. He must not be... Oh, it's interesting. Let me go see. I guess it's on X, right? Isn't it on X? I think so. Mm-hmm. Should be. Let me just double check. Yes, it's on X. We got 29 people over there on the X platform watching right now. So, fantastic. More people on X. If you're from X, do a comment or something just so I can see it if it shows up. I think it shows up. More people on X than anywhere. 29 on X. 29 people watching live on X. Okay. Lots of good comments today from everybody. Happy New Year. Absolutely. You guys and gals are absolutely the best. The best. Absolutely the best. Happy New Year's to everybody. If I get any information, I'll come back on live. If I can share it, I'll come back on live. If not, we'll be back on Saturday at our normal time for Final Cut TV Live. All right? Have the best. Have the best New Year's, everybody. You can also go to our Facebook group. Here's the YouTube channel, youtube.com Richard Taylor TV, but you're probably watching from there. Don't forget to subscribe, of course, over there. But if you want to continue talking about this, you can talk about this on the YouTube channel, make a comment below, or you can go to our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/Final Cut TV Radio, and we'll continue the conversation there. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. It's very confusing. But I guess something in January we'll find out. So people can make arrangements with their lives. They have to do that. Clarify what's going on because it's not very clear to us right now. All right? Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. If I don't talk to you before that, I will see you on Saturday. Thanks, everyone. Happy New Year, everybody.